A bunch of guys over the last few days have called you a really good connector out there on the floor offensively. As you think about your game, what does that mean exactly?
A connector is just somebody, to me, just means somebody who can kind of play with anybody on the court, kind of just get the offense going. Defense as well is kind of making an extra pass, just doing whatever I got to do to kind of get the team gelling.
There were a couple times last night where Philly kind of looked like they were lining up for an above the break three. You guys as a team, rotated, closed out hard, and they ended up getting a corner three out of it. How do you deal with those types of situations, knowing you want to contest as many shots as you can, but you also don't want to give up a better shot?
Yeah, I mean, last night was kind of some game plan personnel mistakes that we made. I know I made a couple, kind of running out to guys and kind of running them off the line where they got an extra pass, and kind of makes the game easier for them. So it's kind of like knowing your personnel, knowing who you're closing out to, and just making it kind of easier on the defense for us to kind of rotate around and get contests on shots.
When teams have guys like Embiid who can be such a massive threat there, like at the elbows, does that make those rotations a little bit harder too, of needing to be pinched in more?
Yeah, for sure. And when you got such great gravity like he has, he's the MVP of the league, so it's like he's gonna draw attention. You know what I mean? You got shooters all around. It makes it tough, but like I said, we made some mistakes last night that we shouldn't have made, and we'll be better moving forward.
From what you saw, how did you feel the two big lineup with Chad and Jay Will did on that front, just defending Embiid?
I think they worked pretty well. It's kind of giving some different looks. I was matched to him last night. I know Lou was matched to him a couple of times, but I like that big lineup. It allows kind of Jay Will to guard the bigger matchup, and it kind of worked for us a little bit.
Moving forward, one of the things that's made you guys so good is you can go small and create a lot of problems. You can play some center. What's it do for your versatility if maybe that lineup also works? Just give you a different look.
It definitely works. It allows us, like you said, to be versatile and kind of, I guess, like I say, junk the game up a little bit. With that team, it's a little different because he's such a force down there. You know what I mean? And for a guy like me guarding him, it's tough for me, but I definitely love the challenge. But I like playing the five, man. I do.
Just being that connector offensively, and you said you like playing the five, it allows you to play a lot of different lineups, a lot of different situations and positions out there. Just what's that like for you personally, just knowing any given game you could be in a different situation, different lineup, different position?
It's fun. It's fun to me. It's a different type of challenge, but I embrace it. I like being kind of versatile. It allows me to be on the floor more. You're not just subject to one position. So I like it. I like playing the five, and I like kind of roaming around and being able to be versatile on both ends.
The last couple of games, you shot the ball really well. How much of that was just taking what the defense was giving you, and how much of that was you maybe hunting and looking for those opportunities out there?
Yeah, just taking what the defense gives me. My teammates are doing a good job of finding me, and I'm trusting the shot and just keep shooting the open ones that I get.
We're trying to have Usman kind of adjust to playing in shorter spurts, and you've been through that in your career. Kind of how hard is it as a player to first kind of get gravitated towards playing in those quick spurts?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But as a professional, you got to be ready for anything. This is the NBA. You can't play 40 minutes a night. You can't play 30 a night sometimes, maybe not even 20. So, you get in, you get your feet wet. You just try to make a little impact, not a little, but as much impact as you can when you're out there. Uz has been great about it. So it's like, he's embraced it, and he's been good.
Mark, did J-Dub practice today?
He went through parts of the practice. Yep, he did.
Last night, Philly, I think, was 8 of 16 from the corners, and I was talking to Kenrich. He said there were a few times where the guys might have overhelped, on above the break and gave up the corner threes. How do you all try to navigate those situations when you do have good shooters above the break too, and trying to make sure you're contesting and closing out?
Yeah, they're not all created equally. I think against a team like that, especially with the amount of help you have to commit to Embiid, it's kind of the cost of doing business on some of those plays. There was one maxi three in front of their bench that was it's kind of like an Embiid play more than anything, and you kind of have to give those up. And then there were other ones that, Chet was on Batum one time and overhelped off the corner, gave up one there. We rotated off of a better shooter to a worse shooter on a couple occasions. So those are like the controllable focus things. I tried to capture that when I talked to you guys after the game, where I just thought our mental sharpness wasn't, a 10 out of 10 yesterday. It wasn't a 0, but it wasn't a 10. And we've proven capable with stuff like that. It's not like this, it's a capacity thing. I just thought for whatever reason, we weren't as sharp yesterday as we've been, and we certainly can be.
Mark, when you sorry, no, that when you go big, when you try out the big lineups, one of your big advantages is being small and some of the stuff that creates.
Yep.
How do you balance out when you want to say this gives us the advantage versus we want to be bigger here?
Well, yesterday a little bit of it was taking a look at it. There is an element to, if you only do the stuff that works, then we would have never been small in the first place. It was a leap of faith to do that in the first place. So we need to be aggressive in terms of understanding exactly what we have and understanding all the options we have. And I think yesterday we kind of fell in that category with how early in the season we are and the fact that we haven't done it much yet. As we move forward, it's kind of a calculus of cost benefit. If the benefits of being smaller don't outweigh the costs, then we'll look to do something else. And I knew I was going to get to it yesterday, but I got to it really early because of the way they started. They started, Embiid had 2 point blank layups in the first 4 minutes of the game. And so that's why I went to it earlier than I did, because you don't want to stubbornly stay with one thing if it's not yielding anything. I think I owe that to the team to try to, like I said after the game, turn over all the rocks, try to find the best thing.
Scheduling wise, Minnesota's huge. Is it kind of good to get 2 in a row like this so you get a look and maybe see if you want to do it again?
Yeah, and the Lakers are big and physical, so we've got 3 games right now that are a nice stress test of our ability to handle a bigger team. And it's a good opportunity for us. Like at the end of the week, we'll learn a lot about the team because of the quality of opponents that we're playing, and as well as the physical size that you're talking about.
You talked about not having your fastball offensively, not playing your best. You only have 4 turnovers. Was that a bright spot of the offense, or just what does a number like that indicate when you have a game like that yesterday?
We had some bright spots yesterday. We scored a lot of points, obviously. So, we were low turnover, outscored them in transition. We outscored them at the rim. We got quality threes. I thought we shot the ball. Shot the right ones for the most part. So a lot of good things offensively. I think the lesson that game teaches you, is if you want to beat a team that's that good of a team, you just don't have much margin for error. And we just made a few too many mistakes, some on offense, some on defense, some with our focus. You cut out 3 or 4 of those mistakes, it could be a different game.
Mark, sorry, go ahead.
Just with Jay Will, you've had 11 games now with him this season. Just what have you seen from him holistically and kind of the growth that you've seen from him this year?
Well, he's done a nice job of readiness. This is a role he hasn't played before because last season was kind of a season of extremes for him. Early in the year, he was like the last guy we put into a regular rotation spot. It took him a long time to break through, and I think the blue time really helped him, prime himself for that. But and then once he got into the fray, we had injuries in the front court, and he was like the only true center for a long time and ends up starting all those games at the end. This year he's playing a more reserve role. His minutes are more inconsistent. So he's learning that. He's done a nice job with it, but he's professional and ready all the time, and that's what you need to be when you're in that type of role.
Well, I haven't had time to look back at Chet's minutes yesterday, what followed after his explosion in the third quarter. Just looking back at the fourth quarter, the stretch of time he doesn't take a shot, what do you think unfolded there, just looking back on it?
Yeah, I think, and I know you guys asked that after the game too, I think at the end of the day, offensively, we want to be a team that is 5 guys working together to generate great shots. I think that's the root of the issue, because the reason you're asking, which is a fair question, is like we were not scoring during that time. If the ball was zipping around and we were getting great shots and he was getting lost in that, but we were generating great shots as a team, there's no question about, what about Chet? And so I think that's the root, is like we've got to play good offense, and we got to have 5 guys working to get great shots. And if Chet's getting them, great. If Isaiah's getting them, great. If Lou's getting them, great. No one gets lost when you play like that, because even if you're not getting the shot, you're involved in the offense. The problem in those stretches of the game was we got slower. I don't want to say stagnant, but we got slower offensively. We just didn't generate enough rhythm, and no one benefited from that, including Chet.
What do you think Ush looked in his first chance to kind of play in those short spurts?
I thought he played pretty well in his first stretch. I thought he had a really good practice today, so he had a strong outing with that one. He's got to keep coming. It's a long road for him. He's got to take his opportunities, play really hard, compete really hard. But I thought his first stretch was pretty good. That whole group, we got off to a slow start, but we were winning at the end of the first quarter. I thought the guys that were in there in the second half of the first quarter, did a nice job for us.
Something I just don't know about your team last year, but Jay Will's had a couple of opportunities either because somebody closed out or just an opening creates where he drives and has finished at the rim. Is that a step forward from last year?
It's more, I think the step is more how he's being guarded. He's always kind of had great skill, like he can really pass. He really knows where the ball should go. I think that's on display every time he's out there, but it's hard to get those plays when they're not closing to him. And I thought last year when he came into the league, there was a lot of situations where they didn't run at him. They just kind of they'd let him shoot as many shots as he wanted to. He shot 40% from three last year. So he's shot himself into kind of an echelon of player that you have to go play him. And when you do that, he can shot fake and get by. He had made two when he got to the play that you were talking about yesterday. So he kind of established the jump shot a little bit. But if he can shoot it like that and make teams go out and play him, that certainly opens up the floor the same way that, Chet does.